to send the link in an email each time, because I can't. It just won't connect from the
All right. We're live now anyway. Right. We're not going to bother waiting for YouTube to confirm, are we? I'll let it be.
Should be live.
That's fine. Okay, welcome everybody to this meeting on the 6th of July 2021. Obviously we know this is only a working party, there's no delegated authority, and any recommendations go to full council if there are any, and any urgent decisions can be actions can be taken by the clerk. Item 2, apologies for absence, please.
We have apologies from Councillor Furman, Councillor Miller-Jones, and Councillor Roach has said that he may be delayed in joining or may not be able to make the meeting, and Mayor Smith says she will be late attending.
Okay. Thank you very much. Declarations of interest and requests for dispensation from anybody?
None received.
No. Appointment of a vice chair. To consider recommendations of the full council for the appointment of a vice chair of the Arts and Leisure Working Party. Any nominations? Can I, as nobody else has been around, can I nominate Dave Smith, Councillor Dave Smith? Anybody wishing to second that? Councillor Tony Brown. Any other nominations? Can't see anybody. All those in favour, please show. Sorry. Duly noted. So go to full council. Thank you very much. Minutes of the last meeting held on Monday, the 17th of May. Do you want to
see them?
Yes, please, yeah. Only because I haven't got my other computer here, so I can't see them. Oh, I didn't. Guess we've all read them. When you're ready, could I have a proposer, please? Councillor Marks, seconded by Councillor Dave Smith. For all those in favour, please show. Thank you very much. Right, moving down to item number 6, which is page 87. Obviously, nothing there. Page 88. Any progress on that, Colin, at all?
I have spent a ridiculous amount of time trying to find any kind of school packs, school information that I can highlight to schools that encourages students to stop feeding pigeons. Unfortunately, you can probably imagine that the thrust of the information is all in the opposite direction. It's all about how to feed birds, not how not to feed them. Really, in this country, there is not an awful lot of information at all that's credible that we can use as a council to argue. We can just pick up and use that says that you shouldn't feed pigeons. I've looked at various bits. There's some on the RSPB website that talks about not overfeeding bread to birds, and also the impact of overfeeding one bird that has an impact on the populations of other birds. But it's really been a matter of kind of pulling together bits of information to create our own piece of evidence that we could in theory make into a kind of picture, but it's way short of anything that you could really send to schools. In terms of actually encouraging students to educate their parents to stop feeding pigeons. The information just isn't out there.
I think Nick wants to say something, but just before I go to Nick, one thing I based on certainly Aaron and myself, the evidence that we've seen, these are very young kids, probably preschool age, so it may not be worth. I mean, I'm thinking about. I was actually looking at the first sentence, which is "Where are we with West Suffolk?" But let me come on to Nick anyway. Nick,
it's just a point of interest really, in that before the Armed Forces Day, I put up 3 signs. We in the meeting we decided to say, well, because there were people going to be picnicking there, we would put up signs just to ask people not to feed the birds because there were going to be people picnicking there, and no one fed the birds on that morning at all. So there had been, the normal people were out and about who may have fed them, but no one did feed the birds as a result of us putting a sign up asking them not to.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing that we got a criticism about the quality of the sign, didn't we, afterwards? Which I thought was pretty bad. But I mean, my personal view is kind of, maybe what Nick just said is, why don't we just put our own stuff up there?
Well, I mean, West Suffolk said they'd put a sign up.
I know.
So, I mean, that was the original idea. That's what we've been saying from the word go. The alternative was what was suggested at the last meeting, given that nobody was doing that. So, we can put our own sign up.
Yeah. I was just thinking, are we actually going to get any response from West Suffolk at all?
We just have to bear in mind it's not our space.
Oh, no.
And it has no power other than, as Nick said, if people are amenable to it. But whether people will be amenable to it as a permanent prohibition, as opposed to them understanding that there's going to be people sitting around eating, I don't know. We can always put a picnic on every day. And make sure people don't throw the leftovers to the pigeons.
Yeah. I'm just thinking about all the other jobs that I know Aaron and myself think. So I see Aaron's hands up. Go on, Councillor Carini.
Yeah, it'd be nice if we could just do it, Colin, really. I believe Damien was chased again the other week and there's been no response back from him. I've seen in other places signs that actually explain the problem of feeding the birds rather than just a picture of a bird with a red cross over it. I wonder if that actually have more effect. A bit like Nick's signs that he put up for the picnic actually explain that the damage it's causing to the church and maybe the cost. That might make people think twice.
Yeah. As I say, we could easily do it. We just didn't because somebody else was going to do it. There's no objection or there's no incapability of doing it. It's simply the fact somebody else was supposed to be doing it.
We get one of the staff to make some stuff up and a bit of wood or something, or whatever. Nail it. I don't know.
Yeah, well,
have to nail it to a tree, but you know what I mean. I don't know where did you put the signs, Nick? On lampposts or something?
I put them wherever I could affix sellotape to.
Yeah.
I put one on a tree, one on a building, and one on the bench. But I mean, it would need a place where it can be seen properly.
Yeah.
But I mean, I hadn't got authorization to put them anywhere else, so it's just anywhere I could fit them with the tape that I had in hand.
That's around.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. It might be worthwhile putting up an information board just to tell people what diseases, etc., pigeons carry and their drop-ins, etc., because it's horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. Some of the stuff that pigeon droppings. And I've seen them putting it on the bench. Food on the benches, kids sitting on the benches running with their hands on there after. It might be good just to put some information up there, just so parents, etc., are actually aware of diseases pigeons carry.
Having been up the church on Armed Forces Day and seen the work that's gone on for the anti-pigeon, getting the church tower methods, which is quite substantial metalwork. I'm not surprised it costs so much. With that, I was just thinking they have got the church got the notice board there, haven't they? Right near the front door. I wonder whether it might be worthwhile having a chat with Max Drinkwater and see whether he's amenable to put us. I mean, he was very amenable last time. So is that a hand up, Nick?
Yeah, I feel it needs to be where the people do it, because they're not going to go and look at that. It needs to be in that area, right next to Saffron Insurance. And as far as the content of it, it's not officious, but in terms of educational, please do not feed the birds. They cause damage to the church, and
Okay.
they spread diseases. And it's just a very simple message. I think that's what can get through, rather than, as you say, big signs with it crosses on and things like that.
Can we
That's my
delegate
feeling.
Can we delegate that to somebody, Colin?
I'm sure we can.
Lovely, thank you, appreciate that. So carrying on then, page 88. What was that with Sarah? So I just saw something with Sarah. I did read this, but I don't know if I can read it on the other machine. Oh yeah, sorry. Okay, sorry.
That's been done.
Okay, I can ask you. Okay, lovely, thank you. Okay, and the rest will be the reports. Lovely, thank you, Colin. Right, public forum, item 7. Anybody?
Nope.
No? Okay. Okay, item 8. Moving on quickly. Lost you again, Nick. Right. Oh, there you are. Do you want to go, Nick?
Yeah, I won't spend too long on this. Really, reopening of the Arts Centre. We're open for cinema and some live events. Cinema is desperately slow. The product that is around and that will be around until the autumn is very, very limited. We're making the best of it that we can. In terms of live, we had a comedy night. Our kind of idea of socially distanced capacity at cabaret style is 50, and we had 51 people in on the cabaret night. For the comedy and for the upcoming musician, we've already sold 43 tickets. So in terms of the live events, with the capacity that we have, they're going well. The wider program is from September, and the other parts of the Arts Centre are due to be opening on the 19th. Just as a matter of interest, I was on quite a few Zooms today with other venues, and there was an organisation called Purple 7 who have got sort of some quite in-depth benchmarking for what's happening in the sector, and it was quite interesting in terms of their overall look at ticket sales, that the really big bounce is not happening at the moment, and it's unlikely to happen at the, their figures at the moment showing the big bounce is unlikely to happen until 2022. There's still a lots of reticence around. They had a figure of 24% of the population of people who they asked are not going to come back until they're ready to come back, and the current distancing and mask measures are still in place. So we can take it away, or it doesn't have to happen, but the people may not be wanting to come back if those measures aren't there. And that was a big conversation with a lot of the venues as to how we can encourage but not enforce, how we set examples with staff as well, whether we are going to have to ask staff. This was particularly difficult with staff, with venues that have a lot of elderly volunteers. They're finding difficulty staffing it up. There's and the products just aren't there at the moment. So it's stuff that was moved on is sold all right, and that's a lot of the tickets that are sold is because they simply got shifted on with the purchases that were there. The outlook for pantomime is hugely different. There was somebody who'd sold something like 10% of what they'd normally sold, and somebody was well over on 2019. but there's big debates now about whether you have any children in pantomimes, whether you have the juvenile dancers, which are an important part of it, but 2/3 of the venues there are not having any children as part of it, which obviously affects their audiences, it affects their pantomime program sales and things like that. So there was a big conversation about that, but no one is rushing back. And so our take it easy approach is probably the right one at the current time. But it is going to be a little bit painful in July and August with the film that we will have access to, but we need to keep that product rolling, really, to show that we are a cinema as well. So we won't over program, but we will run with that. We are getting some private hire inquiries. So we had our first wedding inquiry for today, and we have got 3 parties booked in as well between August and September too. So that there are people looking to come back for private hires. So that's just a general overview of the Arts Centre at the current time. The summer events programme, I sent through the poster, and that's something in the town centre every Saturday. We've had 3 events there now, the Armed Forces Day, 2 events there, and the Streets Alive. And the Streets Alive was wonderful on Saturday. It was one of the best street. We've had a lot, but street entertainment days we've had, and incredible feedback and great engagement. And it was lovely to see to hear the performers as well comment on what a lovely atmosphere it was down there. And some who'd been there before really noticed the difference in the engagement with the people, but also the atmosphere generally of the town centre, and how, when you send them into Queen Street, it's there's something happening there now rather than just them. It's just them there as well. So there's been definite advantages from lockdown in terms of the market, Queen Street, and the way that the town feels. And hopefully that first day that we did is going to show how the rest of the things might go. We also supported the Haverhill show on Sunday, which was the show committee had done a great job there with getting a large number of things onto the recreation ground, and a good number of people turned up too, and it was all very sensibly done. Arenas will attract people, so there wasn't socially distancing so much around the arena when there were things on, but it was interesting for me to learn and watch how people behave at events like that, because we have not got any of those programs at the moment. So yes, so that the summer events program will continue, and if any councillors have got any questions about that, then please let me know.
I was going to add, Nick, unfortunately I was ill on Saturday, so I couldn't get down, but my trusty cameraman and person, Councillor Lucarini, took some good pictures and video, and it really looked good. And Councillor Furman got into the act of things, which it's good stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's great stuff for future marketing as well. So we need to retain all that footage. Thank you for that.
Yeah, and there's a freelance camera, but a freelance photographer down there as well, and she's doing an amazing job. She's taking loads and loads of stuff for free and sharing it out. She's doing a brilliant job, and she's going to be there every Saturday. So we're going to get some good coverage from that. And we have got interest from BBC Look East in all of the things that are going on in Haverhill at the moment. So we've got a lead into them at the current time.
Yeah, I mentioned that last night. They were very keen when they came down to do the article last week, whenever it was, that they realised that they're missing out on what Haverhill does. And I really pushed and said, look, you come down here, forget Newmarket or all those places, come down here. We're more important than Newmarket. And I have to say, certainly the political editor agreed with me. I don't know about the rest of them.
Thank you. So Armed Forces Day, the convoy was magnificent, and the number of people that came out for that was astonishing, and the reception it got when it got down to the market square was, well, it's a little bit scary actually. You know, the idea was not to have a lot of people come out, and there were a good hundreds waiting there. But again, it was all very sensible, and we didn't get any adverse comments from it. And the day itself benefited from the site that we'd chosen to. And most people agreed, you know, with a few little tweaks and a little bit more entertainment there. And it was a nice event for us to build on. And I know Councillor Brown had worked hard to get the guys from the convoy, and I think they're interested in coming back. And the people of Haverhill certainly seem to like that idea of it going round. I was going round in advance of it to a lot of places, and there were just people out everywhere. And it was families as well, lots and lots of families out there watching.
I've got quite a lot. Sorry, just to interrupt there, Nick. I've got quite a lot of footage. I will be making a composite video, not the whole route, but key places. And we got people who have filmed from the road, so I can mix and match, which I think will be quite good. And I know Harry Bowdry, who went out in the lead police vehicle, he got Cheryl Claydon to send us an email afterwards, saying he'd already booked Cheryl for next year to come out. So he said he really enjoyed it. Hadn't seen places, parts of Haverhill he hadn't seen before. And he's a 97, 80-year-old person who's lived here for quite a few years. So yeah, really good day. Well done to all. I think one thing, Nick, just to let you know, I think we ought to have a wash-up meeting on the Armed Forces Day when we can.
Yep, that's on the agenda. That's on the agenda, John.
Yeah. Great. Thank you.
Just to let people know, we have now got a 10-mile a 10-mile walk around the States, if people want to know. So that the convoy is exactly 10 miles. In Suffolk, the Armed Forces Week, the beginning fell on Suffolk Day as well. So there's a number of councillors had particularly long days there. We were on the Market Square at 4:30 and back again down there at 9:30. We got some great coverage again on Radio Suffolk for what we were doing, and so that was a cool day, some cool ideas. I have to see whether the mayors of the future are willing to carry on that tradition, and whether I think we were the only place in Suffolk to actually do the dawn till dusk flag raising. So it just sets us out again. And Sarah really worked hard to get another of the windows done for Suffolk Day as well, and that looks excellent.
Just again to interrupt, sorry, Nick. I was interviewed for Armed Forces Day on the Friday, and Mark Murphy from BBC Suffolk said he'd actually specifically watched that video that we made of certainly the morning one anyway, which I think I was maybe a bit up earlier than most of you. And he was really appreciative. And also I made sure that when they filmed the members of the public for that article, that we got that Suffolk Day window in the background, just to make sure we did things.
Just moving on so that's it events wise really. The Leyston Centre we're trying to get up and running again. The YAG is a bit of a verbal update on that. We had a very successful, I think, meeting. This was regarding getting a new youth strategy in place, and so we've got a way forward which Colin might want to come in on, just to have a word about as well. But what the main finding of that was that really people recognise that the mental health issues for young people can't really wait for a strategy at the moment. So YAG is forming a mental health action group to further the mental health agenda for young people, to try and work with the various agencies that exist and try and fill some holes in that. We had some really excellent input from the schools as to the numbers there that are actually needing to access mental health services, and particularly on post lockdown. So that's a really positive thing that has come out from the YAG. And then just in terms of moving forward with a new strategy, Colin, did you want to come in on that? It
was a good meeting, I thought, of the YAG. very similar themes coming out of the different breakout groups that discussed matters. One of the things that's being suggested is that we look for a third party to carry out a kind of consultation exercise and pull together the strategy for us. It's simply down to to be realistic about the resource we have available. So I guess as it was in the last minutes that we're going to look at that. What would be good is if the working party was happy for me to go away and see if I can source some potential providers of that to provide some prices so that perhaps by the time it gets to full council, I may have sufficient information for councillors to consider the potential costs of getting that strategy done. But the mental health bit was kind of cross-cutting theme, and the sheer numbers of people, young people, in this particular case, that have been reported as having low mood, does suggest that we need to look at what can be done on a kind of a large scale in terms of raising people's well-being, simply on the grounds that the one-to-one services that are available. Well, I mean, you can't provide one-to-one services to hundreds and hundreds of people. You need to look at ways of raising the morale, etc., of the town, I guess, in other ways. Obviously, we're hoping that the Haverhill will get a decent slice of funding from some of the things like Welcome Back Fund and other funds that have been earmarked, but it's those announcements have been delayed. So once we get an announcement on any funding, we've then got to actually get the lead time work sorted out before delivery can actually take place. But I think it is going to be, as Nick said, a major theme for parish councils up and down the land. I was in Norfolk last week at a green energy convention, actually by Suffolk County Council. The venue happened to be just over the border, and a representative from Norfolk was saying that well-being delivered by parish councils is going to be a major issue as part of the recovery from the pandemic.
Okay, thank you.
Is a working party happy for me to go away and get some quotes from people for, I'm going to have to get the specification written first of all, but to get some ideas of what it would cost to get a third party in to do the strategy?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I was at that meeting yesterday, and you know, my concern, making sure that we're not getting a high-powered consultant in who tell us the obvious. I was going to swear them, but I won't. The obvious. And I have no problem with getting costs, certainly. But what I would be worried about, Colin, is taking out even more of your time.
Well, that's the idea of getting third parties in, because we don't have the capacity. But I will avoid using KPMG or anything like that.
No, I realise that, or one of the others. No, I was thinking more of your time actually developing the thing, whether we've got expertise elsewhere in the council who could perhaps write that up.
I don't think the specification for the producing a strategy is particularly difficult.
Sorry, Councillor Marks, I think I saw your hand. No.
Yeah, before you have somebody in to design a strategy, do we not really want to think through as a council what we are, what are we planning to do? Why are we planning to do it? What is the need in the town? Because these are the things that they're going to be asking, and we're going to be paying them for that. We can actually we can establish some of that ourselves. But I think we need to understand the need that we have here. What is it we're trying to achieve? How are we going to achieve it? We've got the capability to do an awful lot of that work ourselves, frankly.
It's the capacity, not the capability. You're absolutely right. We certainly have the capability within the town of doing it, but the capacity is the issue, and the specification is going out and getting the information. It's not. So we want somebody to gather the information. We did actually for the last strategy. We paid. I think we paid really just one of the partners to provide a survey for us, and we perhaps need a stronger specification was used that time round. But we need them to gather that information and evidence professionally and also elsewhere in the country.
Having gathered that, what did we do with the information we got last time? We
developed the strategy from it, and we've delivered it. So the chill out zone, creative artwork, extension of signpost work that Karen did. In fact, the only part we haven't delivered is the skate park.
I just feel, we don't want to reinvent the wheel if we can do it ourselves, and I think we have a lot of capability here.
And that's why the Youth Action Group, in its current state, I think is the ones who have probably come up with the ideas, because there's a lot of input on that. So, Nick.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I mean, what Margaret was talking about is really what the Youth Action Group are there. The Youth Action Group it's made up of all of the different young people's agencies, or the majority of them in town, to identify the main themes to road test with the young people. Really, that's how we see it going. So council will certainly have a look at all the drafts of how that has come and the ability to comment on that.
And one of the themes that was very strong, I think, in throughout the group was making sure that we include the young people in that. We're not dictating to young people what they want, but equally they need to know what they want as well. So yeah, so the youth action. Sorry, Margaret, go on.
Just you the skate park, and I've heard quite a few things lately about the skate park that is not the best of news, and I just wondered if we've evaluated the skate park from all youth people's point of view, because I'm being told that it's being kind of gang led and a lot of children won't go up there now. So I would like to know if that's fact. If it is, what we're doing about it. So perhaps we could put a survey out on asking if people are using the skate park, and if they're not, why not? Because I think we need to know if we've got a problem up there.
We don't know the current problems, but a full-blown survey was done. We had about 1,000 people come back, was it, Colin?
We had a very large survey come back in terms of the proposal for a new skate park. I haven't personally heard anything, so it's interesting, Margaret, to hear that there's concerns about the existing skate park. And
certainly the ASB meeting I was in recently, there's no mention, because we went around the whole area and there's no mention of any known ASB up there.
We could
people who won't let their children go up there, their children don't want to go up there because they're saying that it's gang led and that it's very they feel it's very contrived. They're going out of area now to the skate parks, and that's not just one family, that's quite a few families now. Yes, sorry Nick, I'm just going to come off that.
Yeah, I mean that we do have the detached youth workers, don't we? I mean that's something which they could be working on and keeping an eye on, and having the conversations with the young people who are there. It's more difficult to have the conversations with people who aren't there.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Sorry, Nick, do you want to carry on?
Yeah. So it was a good and productive meeting. We realise we are going to carry on at YAG at the moment, as we're still, got things to deliver and still got things to discuss. But it was a very positive meeting to move things forward and recognise that the issues now are very different, or can be very different to the ones which we were facing when the strategy was first developed. The last bit on here is about future events, really. With the announcement about the 19th of July, even with that, there counts that a lot of the organisations that arrange things and organise things still don't believe that mass events are very the way to go at the moment, and whether there's still a lot of indecision about whether there will be further lockdowns and further socially distancing introduced during the winter months. So Bow Edmonds has actually already announced it's cancelled its Christmas fair, and on a YAG meeting a Zoom meeting yesterday with the local outdoor events organisers group, very, very few are committing to firework displays, and very, very few are committing to Christmas light switch on events and things at the moment, because there is just that huge level of uncertainty, and also that thing of councils bringing together young people, lots of people into large groups. So that's the background really to the two large events that we have during the autumn months, the Halloween Trail and the family Christmas night. And I thought it would be useful to get some soundings from councillors as to what their feelings are about those events and how they feel the council should be pushing forward with those, whether we provisionally put some things in, or I've suggested here that maybe the Christmas working group comes back together to have a look at that, so we can keep an eye on it over time. There is a possibility for the Halloween Trail as we did it last year, so we design it so it can be socially distanced. We can use the same site maybe as we did into 2020, and so that we can have it socially distanced or non-socially distanced depending on circumstances at the time. And the last bit again on that really is just looking further ahead to 2022 with the Queen's Platinum Jubilee. There's going to be a rush to get things, and if we want something, we should be getting in there, not further ahead, but that's just in there. But it would be interesting to hear from councillors of their steer on regarding Halloween and Christmas.
Before I get on to Councillor Marks, summer fun days, yes, no? Nick?
So summer fun days now have the potential to go ahead. Yeah. That the Hayville show, I mean, there was lots and lots of fairground rides and things like that. There did seem to be quite minimal cleaning in between that, but no, that wasn't affecting anyone. It wasn't stopping anyone going on anything. And it is very, very difficult to clean a fairground ride in between people.
No.
So the potential for those those fun days to go ahead with the partners who we work with them on is definitely there and able to be done. They are likely to be slightly less ambitious. The Hayville South People's Forum are definitely interested in partnering up on one for the Leiston. I saw Amy at the weekend, and the Chalkston again they are, and East Town Park would be open to us for talking with them about picnic in the park as well. So they would be put together later. There would probably be less of the bouncy things and less trying to look at the areas so that we could design some form of distancing in for those that required it.
Okay, I'll go up to Margaret and say, just very quickly before I forget, and Joe probably knows this anyway, is the Ferris wheel for the Hayville show, which I thought was very popular and something I would consider for the Market Square perhaps as one of our grant spending pots, if you like. They actually come from Saffron Walden. So we're not talking about a million miles away. So it's something we ought to be considering. But sorry, Margaret, Councillor Marks.
Yeah, I just want to say that the events Nick put on last year, and you, John, were at them as well. Absolutely outstanding feedback from those. And I think the only criticism people said is that they couldn't get tickets to come to some of them. I think they were really outstanding, and I do think they're worthwhile doing again. The ones and I always forget the names of them, but the one you did in the Burton Garden and the ones that you've done, I don't know what's going to happen up there. The Scout Hut Place, that they were just outstanding, Nick. And, you know, they gave something back to the community. They gave the community a reason to get up and get out. And you've already talked about children's mental health earlier here. And we keep talking about driving them down the route of thinking about their mental unwellness, and sport and events are one way, you know, en masse to uplift them. So I think it's absolutely crucial that we do things, and they were done very well, Nick.
Councillor David Smith.
Yeah, thanks. I think it's important that we do all we can to try to keep the events going that we've done in the past, which Nick has put on. And progress it as far as you can without having to make a firm commitment. I think that's probably the obvious thing to say. Yes, I've lost my train of thought there. Yeah, but as I say, yeah, do what you can, Nick, to put it on. So I think it's important to have these events in the town.
Joe, Councillor Mason.
Yeah, just really quickly. I mean, it's a political discussion on both from all lots of directions. Then there's, you know, there's an agreement on whether, you know, face masks should be worn or whether they shouldn't be worn. You know, there's lots of opposing views. I think our guidance comes from government. If we're permitted to do these events, then the responsibility kind of lies with the government in terms of us being to hold these events. I'm keen that if there is another wave in the winter months, that the young people of the town have as much positive experience, socially distanced, and whatever we can do to minimise the risks. Because if there was to be yet another lockdown, they're going to need some nice happy memories to carry them forward for their mental health and well-being.
Thank you, Joe. Councillor Luccarini, Aaron.
To kind of echo what Joe's saying, I think we should be led by what the government's saying. By the middle of this month, we're talking about 2/3 of adults being vaccinated and all over 18s having their first vaccine. And in theory, 8 weeks later, all over 18 should have had their second vaccination. I've been to quite a few different events now, and I was at the Haverhill show. And it really does feel like things are getting back to normal. People are out and relaxing. So I think we should go ahead and try the best we can to put events on as normal.
Yeah. Councillor Dave Smith again, I think, did I see your hand?
Yeah, it's just, you actually told me memory what I was going to say before I lost my train of thought. Yeah, I was going to say, obviously, we'd have to look at the evidence space of once things do open up more widely as to whether or not, because we don't know, you know, if things go pear-shaped, then everything may be shut down again. So, yeah, look at the evidence.
Colin?
Just wondering, Nick, if you could tell the councillors, in terms of organising things like the trails, if we separate the organisation of the trail itself, booking the acts and designing it, from the delivery of an audience through it, is there any actual difference between a socially distanced and non-socially distanced design, or effectively is it simply the gaps between the people who, and therefore the capacity of the numbers that can go through it? I'm just wondering whether it makes any difference at this stage to your organisation of it to know whether it's going to be socially distanced or not, and whether you can just organise one size fits all and then just adjust the audience throughput, you know, within the few weeks lead time necessary to organise, to actually put the people through the event.
It is perfectly possible to put less people through and lots of people through. One of the advantages of having less people and them being distant is the engagement that the young people and the artists can give to those young people. And that's what's been a huge benefit of both of the things that we did, is we were able to build engagement. What the Halloween Trail had become was a long trail of people passing some very scary stuff in a long trail of people, which makes it quite difficult for them
Totally frozen.
We lost you, Nick. I think we've lost Nick.
In groups, you can get groups of people through to give them that engagement, but no, they can be the same event. It's just what they mean to the people who are putting them on, and also the people who are going to them.
Okay, so what the councillors could decide was that we definitely want the events to take place, and in terms of how the audience are able to interact. I mean, I agree with you. It was actually, although we had half the number of people, it was so much better because they weren't simply watching what they were about to experience. There was those bigger gaps. But I think if councillors can say, go ahead and organise the events, we'll worry about the throughput later, then that means you can start booking things.
Okay. So the Christmas event that we put on last year was obviously different to the Christmas event that we have previously had. The Christmas event that we normally have is our family Christmas night, which raises money for charities. It has a fairground ride, it has fireworks at the end, and it has late night shopping to bring people into the trading, etc., etc. So the Christmas budget at the current time can cater for one of those events. If it was just our council is looking for the traditional one and the trail.
So interesting. On Councillor Lucarini.
I went along to the Heart of Haverhill meeting tonight, and they're expecting us to go back to the more traditional Christmas shopping night with the fireworks. They're talking that like they need a boost, and they feel by Christmas people will be getting back out again, and they're already looking to. They're going to talk to you about how they can get involved with that again.
I mean, the budgets that are available at the moment for the festival and the summer are not all going to be used up in the summer. So there is still money for events around, and there is still an earmarked reserve for events as well, which could potentially be used. So, you know, the events which are going on during the summer, some of those are very, very low cost. I don't, you know, the Armed Forces Day, I don't even think it cost much more than £1,000. It's so many of these things are very, very cheap to put on. So there is additional funding in different events budgets if councils want to look to see whether both of those events, and that they are deliverable, they're both deliverable in the same period, if both of those events could be facilitated without going over either existing or earmarked reserve budgets.
Councillor Lucarini.
Sorry, just coming to get again. I was just thinking there was quite a backlash against West Suffolk Council for cancelling the Christmas fair this year. There is thousands of comments on social media. I really think people will be expecting us to go back to normal, and there's probably going to be a lot of people that are wanting things to do. Going away on holiday at the moment is an absolute extortionate price. There's a lot of families that are probably completely priced out, and will be looking to us to provide these events. So I think we should be prepared for that.
Okay. I'm not certain whether we want two events, so that's one of the problems I've got. And also we have to think about who we're trying to, is the right word, to entertain here.
They are very different events, John.
They are.
I mean,
Yeah.
They're totally different, really. One is a big thing in a town centre, and the other is an individual experience for families with young children. So they are very, very different.
I do worry a little bit. I know Aaron doesn't, you know, I mean, a lot younger than perhaps some of us, is I do worry about what's going to happen in the winter time. none of us know. We all thought last year we were all going to be hunky-dory, and look what happened. I know we got the vaccine, but we just don't know. So I don't know. To plan for 2 events is quite a lot of work, I would have said, was it, Nick?
An events are all 80% the same, really. Once you've found the thing and the site and everything, we know how to do these now, and the team can certainly deliver those if called upon, I would say. I mean, I can certainly make sure cost them up and look at the potential to deliver them all, if that's what councillors would like to see.
Well, one is a controlled event, the other one is not, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can't control the crowds. You can on your, like, let's say the Burton Centre version. Councillor Brown, Tony, you're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, excellent. I would say what the town's been through with COVID and the rest of the country, I would try and put on as many events as we possibly can. Try and get, morale. We're talking about people's mental health. Let's try and, get some events on. I know we're doing some lovely stuff during the summer, but later on in the year, towards Christmas, it'd be fantastic. Pull the stops out. Yeah.
Okay, I'll come back to something in a minute. Councillor Mason? Joe?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I feel I might be repeating what Tony just said, but it was cutting out, so I'm sorry, Tony, I didn't quite hear all of it. I would like us to have a full programme of events. It depends what the potential cost could be, whether that is excessive, and the risk of putting those for them to be cancelled. But I think we should go. We should go for it, and let the future look after itself in terms of whatever remedial decisions we'll then have to make. I think I'd much rather be positive and offer a sense of hope that we are trying to get Haverhill back to normal, and that's kind of my overwhelming feeling. We ask people to take personal responsibility. We want people to stay fit and well, and if they're not well, they keep away. But I think we should be optimistic and send out a positive message about wanting to lift the people of Haverhill. I'd like a full programme, Chair.
Councillor Lismith.
Yeah, I just want to agree basically with what Tony and Joe have said. I think we do need to plan for these events. Everyone wants to get out there and to start, living in a normal life again. Obviously, we need to be prepared if the government announces further lockdowns, etc. I wonder if I don't know what the situation with COVID is now, but I know sometimes we've had like cancellation insurance for events, and I don't know what the situation is with that now, Nick. But is that something we do, or
I mean, the events industry as a whole has been so reactive and fantastically reactive to not committing over time. Not one event that we've had to cancel has cost us any money at the moment, and most places are inserting a COVID cancellation clause, really. We've even had that just on verbal, and we've just agreed to do an event, and if it doesn't go ahead because of COVID, you don't pay out anything, really. So that's how it's been all of the way through, and I think it's it's something that people haven't really realised, is that normal deposits, etc., have just gone out of the window. So the COVID cancellation insurance is a big thing at the moment, but it just wouldn't be realisable for us as such a small organisation, even if it was available. But the goodwill of the people that we work with is what we rely on.
Yeah, we've seen it a lot, haven't we, over the last 12, 15 months.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Did I see somebody else's hand up then or not? No. One thing I was going to ask about, Nick, I quickly wrote it down here, is we've had no update on the bike race for a long time. We have no idea how we're getting involved, what we can do as individually as councillors or anything.
Okay. Well, there's been one meeting of the community committee, which was the other day. So that there hasn't been a meeting before that. There's a technical, and there's two groups. There's a kind of a technical group which is very much concerned with the guts of the race and how it's going to be put on, and there is a community group which has had one meeting, and I've got a walk around tomorrow to look at it, and there's a second meeting. It was the meeting that we had was very much about what projects might you be able to do which you were going to do last time, and are there any others? So we've got a list of potential things that the town council might get involved in, but it's very much based around street entertainment and some artist type input. Again, the health and safety officer who's working with them is very much saying, you know, you've got to see if you might need to build in social distancing, and she's someone who's been working specifically on COVID events for a lot of people, and it's very, very good to have her on board. She's going to be in town tomorrow. So just in terms of the way in which it's going to be designed, it's going to be again designed so that it could be run, the race itself could be run without anything else going alongside it. But yeah, so councillors will receive an update on how the town council may be involved, but nothing has been actually formally committed yet.
Yeah, I appreciate it's Abbey Croft and can't remember the name of the company who's doing it.
Sweet Spot.
That's it, Sweet Spot. Thank you. Because I think they not mention that they have actually changed the. I know it was never going to start in Haverhill anyway, but did they make it further afield?
No, the final leg, the final stage does start in Haverhill.
Well, no, the stage does, but the actual start of the race doesn't start in Haverhill.
Well, the first bit of the race is a ride out, and then they actually start racing quite a bit later. Yes, you're right. But I think, I don't think they've actually given the full details yet of the route and the timings, etc. So to know exactly where the racing will start, I don't think we know that yet, do we, Nick?
No, they haven't confirmed whether the route is exactly the same. It was due to go out round some villages and then back along the Eringshausen way. So, but there's still going to be some community activities around it with the ride out, and the thing that has disappeared from it is the Haverhill Goes Biking, which was the reason why Abbeycroft were involved in the first place, which was very much a big push, but the wrong time of year, and so Abbeycroft's involvement is lessened, I think.
Okay, all right, great. All right, keep us advised anyway, if you could, Nick. That'd be great. Right.
Just in terms of whether you want to have a Christmas subgroup or start wanting to look at the Queen's Platinum Jubilee, or just want to hold off on that for a short while.
Well, there is already a Christmas group, isn't there? I can't remember who's on it, but
yeah,
I'm sure Colin will be able to tell us in a minute. Or maybe not, I don't know.
No, I think, isn't it the same group that do the Armed Forces Day and, well, I don't know who else. I don't know who else is on it.
No, I don't think so. This was all about...
I wasn't on it, so I couldn't tell you.
3 years,
I mean,
3 years ago.
Councillor Marks, Councillor Mason.
I was.
And Councillor Burns, yeah, I think they were.
I don't know if, where's Aaron gone? I don't know if Aaron was.
Councillor Miller-Jones, I think, was on it as well.
Oh, okay, thanks, Joe. Cheers. Okay, well, I think we ought to start planning for next year, because we're going to be a beacon town, aren't we? Next year.
A what?
Beacon town.
Or for the Queen's Platinum.
For the Queen's Platinum.
Okay.
Have you not? Yeah, it was announced the other day, wasn't it? That us, Woodbridge, somewhere else.
Yeah, it was published in the East Anglian Daily Times that we're going to host a beacon in St Mary's Churchyard.
Okay. In St Mary's Churchyard?
Yeah, that's what the East Anglian Daily Times said.
Not high up, just...
Who's it?
Well, nobody's going to be able to see it. So if you start to let anyone know there's an invasion, no one will know anything about it.
Yeah. We did one for the centenary, the end of the First World War. And
Yeah, we did.
Worked quite well.
Yeah.
We had a lot of people there.
I'm trying to remember what the other town was, but I think it was Woodbridge, wasn't it, Aaron?
Yeah.
Woodbridge and somewhere else. Can't remember. Was it Stonemarket? No, it wasn't Stonemarket. No.
Oh well.
Anyway, so what I'm saying is, I think we ought to, a bit like armed forces and remembrance and everything. We need to start early.
Would council want that the group, the Armed Forces and Remembrance Group, to be the main organising group if they're willing to do that for that day as well, to pass that to them?
Well, you've got the likes of Family History Group on it. Obviously, Max Drinkwater's on it. I'm quite happy. So did I just see a hand raised? Sorry. Oh, Tony, sorry.
Yeah, I think that'd be a great idea. Say most of the people like Charmaine and Brian, who tend to do lots of stuff around those, is on that committee. Max, I think it'd be a good idea.
Okay. Councillor Lucarini?
The press release comes from Bruno Peake.
Oh,
right. Okay, fair enough.
So there's 4 locations: the St Mary's Churchyard in Haverhill, Abbey Gardens, Bury St Edmunds, the Stowmarket Recreation Ground, and Framlingham Castle.
Oh, Framlingham. Okay, I knew it was somewhere over there. Okay.
Well, and nowhere in East Suffolk. That's going to go down well.
But he lives over there, doesn't he?
He lives in Galston.
Is Fram not in East Suffolk?
I thought Framlingham was East Suffolk.
It's over that way, but it isn't, the same as Aldborough, Southwold, Lowestoft, etc.
Places you can see a beacon from at sea.
Well, Woodbridge is, I presume.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Well, that's sort of sorted.
Well, thank you. That's the end of my report.
I appreciate that, Nick. Thank you very much. Right, moving on to item 8, B for Bravo, the Youth Skills Manager report.
Sorry. Chair, can I just check? Did we get the various permissions Nick needed? Was that we discussed them, but we actually?
Oh, sorry. I guess I assumed that the general consensus was we should try and go ahead and do as much as we can, unless anyone's. I can't see Joe at the moment, but I assume he's okay with that, as he mentioned it. Oh, there you are. Yes, as far as I'm concerned, did you want a formal proposal?
Well, if you want to propose a recommendation to full council that the go ahead and in the way Alicia will have recorded those decisions. I think it's just I don't think there was a vote.
No, it wasn't. You're right, dead right. So can I have Tony proposing? Yeah, seconding. I think I can see Councillor Mason hand. Yeah, all those in favour, please show. There you go.
Thank you.
Right, Youth Skills Manager report. I'm looking for the report. There you go. Did anyone want to see it on screen? You've read it all. Hopefully. Just amazing what Karen had done, well, especially Karen with her accident she had. And Dan obviously doing things, how much they've managed to put in this report, what they've been doing, especially in lockdown. So any comments at all?
Councillors will be pleased to hear that Karen is able to get up the stairs now. So she's feeling like she's beginning to make a quicker and quicker progress now in terms of her recovery.
Yeah, she was running around the Market Square the other day on Armed Forces Day. Well, maybe I'm using the word running loosely. Usual good report from them, I thought. Seems to be quite a lot of cooperation between the various groups and everything. Okay, if there's nothing on there, we'll move on to the zone and youth working. Again, the report from Sandra, very comprehensive. They've been doing again a lot with Sue and Sandra and the team over at the zone and the youth workers. Unfortunately, we still haven't got the on the spot van up and running, but that may change, obviously, from July 19th, maybe. assuming it still runs.
Well, it needs a new battery in it, so we have to get it started to get it across to Bury St Edmunds, and then West Suffolk are going to fit a new battery into it and make sure it's all ship shape for the autumn.
Have we tried? I've got a very good, very expensive battery conditioner charger.
Oh, have you really? Now that's exactly what Sandra is after. So,
okay, no, I've got one. Yeah, I paid a lot of money for it.
You've got one on your desk and one underneath your desk, I should imagine.
No, this one's in the kitchen cupboard. This one, yeah. No, it cost a lot of money because my car had the same problem, not being started. So, yeah, that's fine. It's worthwhile trying. Did it on my
let her know. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So, anything on other than battery chargers? Anything? Can't see Tony or Councillor Licker in it at the moment. I assume again good things. Zones reopened, obviously, and
it has, and it's interesting because I was doing the furlough return today, and it was great to see that pretty well all of the staff who work at the zone had working flexible furlough. There won't be any furlough claim against them at all because they've all worked more hours than we would normally pay them under furlough. So it's good to see it all up and running again.
Yeah. Over the times I haven't been in, I've been outside recently. Loads of kids outside. Councillor Liz Smith.
Yeah, Dave and myself visited the zone. When was it? Last week.
Last week, I think. Yeah.
Last week. Yeah. So it was my first visit there actually. So I was very impressed with it. Not having youngsters myself, it's not the sort of place I would normally go. So yeah, I was quite impressed, and the staff were lovely, and there was obviously socially distanced parents and children there. So there was a few there that we got chatting to, and they were really complimentary about the zone and how well organised it is and everything. So, and I think that they were talking about keeping the booking system going for a bit, even after lockdown, and it seemed to be working well. So I was very pleased. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that, and Councillor Dave Smith as well. That was good. I saw your photo in the Echo, I think it was. Okay, moving on then. If there's nothing else on the zone or youth work, chill out. Of course, may restart. Which will be good. As we mentioned earlier on about the skate park. Right, moving on to Sean at the community kitchen. Where's Nick? There he is. Again, I lost Sean's report here somewhere here. Here we go. Unfortunately, I never got to after that very long day on Suffolk Day. Someone forgot to remind me that there was food on at the Leyston Centre. But anyway, sorry, I blame Liz for that. Sorry, hello Liz. Go ahead.
I was just going to say I was surprised it was only me there really, and Nick.
Yeah. I think we actually got a formal invite.
Nick had a taste, and Dave couldn't make it. So it was just me really eating it, and it was lovely. But yeah, I think it would have been nice to perhaps have a couple of more people there. But
I've got a feeling maybe something we didn't do is actually invite people, other councillors maybe.
Yeah. I think it was because of social distancing.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
But yeah, it would have been nice to perhaps have a couple of more.
Just throw some food out the window or something. That was good, and all the other stuff. Did you want to add anything to that, Nick? No, that's fine. Okay, that's good. He's doing well. I've seen his Facebook post with all his recipes. Haven't dared try any of them yet. I wouldn't even know how to. I don't think I've really got the gadgets to do it. Right. Moving on. Have you report? This is Michelle. Have you website which we discussed during the YAG yesterday as well. I think it's self-explanatory. Any comments at all? No. I guess the only thing I possibly would like to see at some point in the future is a couple of young people, anonymously, whatever, maybe give some feedback She is funded now by a West Suffolk grant, community chest grant, which I think Margaret will not remember. But that was good. Nice long report. So that was good. Any main comments on that? No. Great. Right. Item number 9 is not going to happen because the application. Well, it's not really completed properly, I guess. I don't know if you want to say anything, Colin, probably not. It's just this.
We did put a request out to the applicant to update their application as soon as they could in order for it to be considered. It wasn't complete, and there were sections in it which didn't make sense. So it wasn't really in a presentable state. And unfortunately, they've not come back to us.
All right. Tony?
Is there any chance that Vicky or someone like that could make contact with them, help them through the form? Because I know they do really good work. Yes,
well, it was Vicky that went back to them with the list of questions that we had, but they've not responded in terms of accepting help or not. So, yeah, we'll just have to wait and see whether they're going to come back or not.
Yeah.
There were a couple of technical issues that they may feel that they can't overcome in any case in terms of constitution. So if they weren't able to satisfactorily answer the first question, then they'd probably say, well, we don't actually qualify for a grant.
And equally, a bit like other funding, Tony, is that we can point them to other funding streams that may be able to help.
Yeah, exactly. But I say I do see them on Watts Field every Saturday. Rains, they're out there with young kids doing great stuff. So they're the sort of people that we should be helping. Yeah,
this is just unfortunate in this case. So anyway, moving quickly on to number 10, because it's going to be a very quick meeting for this meeting. Next meeting Tuesday, the 14th of September. Has anyone else got anything? Councillor Dave Smith.
I know we haven't got any other business on the agenda, but can I just chip in with something? It comes under the community aspect. I was asked today to explore any barriers as to why the uptake of the COVID jab in the town is so low. Apparently, it's 56%, which is way below the average for the rest of Suffolk. So if there's anybody, I'm not asking the answers now, but if there's anybody who's heard of any barriers to why people are not taking it, whether it's they're real or perceived, can they just drop the line? Let me know. I'm not asking information.
Is that in a particular age range you're talking about?
That's no, just anybody.
That's it. Okay. All right. Councillor Marks, then Councillor Lucarini.
Yeah, very, very quickly. Across the country, the young people are kind of against it, and one of the things they're getting is if any of them have had the first one, they've had a bad reaction, they're not going back for the second, and they're not arriving for their appointments. And there seems to be a YouTube video going around, I actually haven't seen it, which is discouraging them from having it, and they're actually ringing people up and telling them not to have it. So we've been asked to try and see, CCG don't quite know what to do. They're talking, and we had a programme this week to try and find creative ways of encouraging under 40s basically to have it, and they're looking at beer mats and anywhere, and perhaps Abbeycroft running a little video with a person of important person. We don't know how we're going to capture these people. They seem to think that because they're not going to be badly affected by it, they don't need to have it. And there seems to be a real worry that their fertility is going to be affected. I don't quite know where that's come from. There's lots of rumours going around, Dave. I don't know how we scotch them, but and it's quite a worry because it is choice. But what they also don't understand is if you have the vaccine, your ability to transmit it through your nose and your mouth is massively lessened, even if you do get it. And an awful lot of people don't even know they've got it and they're spreading it. But it reduces the opportunity. So we're doing the old, do you want to knock granny down? Do you want to lose your babysitter? We're trying anything really. So I think, I don't know how we target them, but if anybody's got any ideas, clinical commissioning would really welcome any creative ideas on capturing that audience sites and encouraging them to have that vaccine because it will affect us all.
Thanks,
That's the answer to your question, David, I hope.
Councillor Lucarini.
Yeah, I haven't really seen anything against the vaccination. My Facebook's been mainly filled with lots of young people saying they're trying to get it. I really struggle to book an appointment. I'm hearing lots of others are finding the same thing, to get one in town, because it seems like Boots is the only place that are doing vaccinations for the under 30s, because everywhere else is AstraZeneca. But it's probably worth noting that we've got the Pfizer walk-in clinic coming to Tesco on the 10th of July. So hopefully that brings a bigger uptake.
Yeah.
When I was in Scotland, I was being phoned by the clinic every single day saying they'd got spare vaccine. That's bizarre. And I was ringing round people saying, please, if you haven't had it, or your neighbour hasn't had it, or you've had it 8 weeks ago and you're due your next one, please go. I mean, every day they have spare vaccines. So the one thing I would say that might be helpful, and I've asked people to do, if you've got people who haven't had their vaccination or have had their first one, if they can drop a note off with their phone number, what vaccination they had and the date, because they have to have 8 weeks between it, then they've got some numbers to call at the end of the day. So if you know Boots are doing it, or if you know Unity are doing it, you've got a list of people, drop them off there, because as long as they've got the date of birth, which surgery they're with, and obviously their name, and if they've had a vaccine already, which one they had and when they had it, drop those off, because then they can make a quick decision on phoning people and not wasting vaccines. So that would be really useful if they could do that as well.
Right, thanks. Tony?
Yeah, I would say to lead the publicity campaign, you've got to use young people. They're the people that aren't having it. Youngsters don't take a lot of notice from elderly people. If it's young people, their peer group, take a lot more notice.
So it looks like, Aaron, it's down to you, mate.
So we do have an agreement with Boots that if there's any spare vaccinations, they're posting any details on the Haverhill Suffolk Facebook group. They're doing that several times a week, and apparently it's been very successful so far.
Colin?
So I was just building what Aaron said earlier. Is just I'll be sure that it's people's reluctance and not simply the fact that we've got lots of spare AstraZeneca, but this Haverhill's demographics is relatively young, and therefore there will be a larger number of people who can only take the Pfizer one and can't take the AstraZeneca. So are we sure this is demand and not supply?
Yeah, don't know.
The problem is, Colin, is that it's a push vaccine. We were hoping it would be a poll, and the difference between that is they tell us what is going to be delivered. We don't have a choice on asking, and that's been one of the big problems throughout this whole programme. And unfortunately, because of the manufacturing issues, their distributors have decided who's getting what and when, and that's never changed throughout the whole programme. So they are talking, however, in the autumn, that the booster, that they are saying that we should have a different vaccine to the one we had originally, because they do work differently. They have a different activity. So they're basically saying if you had the Pfizer, then maybe having the AstraZeneca one next time will actually give you a different level of protection. I feel slightly awed about that because I didn't have any reaction to Pfizer, and I'm a bit reluctant to have the AstraZeneca and the Moderna one. And of course, there will be a Johnson one coming out soon as well. So maybe in the autumn, that giving that different vaccine will, I don't know how they'll cope again with the younger cohorts because of the risk of clotting, but I think at the moment we need to concentrate on trying to get some of those younger people through. So if you see anybody, try and encourage them, but we can't force them.
Really, if they do keep sending AstraZeneca, then it won't help the young people anyway. I appreciate there's no control over it, but it would be interesting to know whether if you look at the Pfizer, is that the problem? Is that the reason there's an issue?
It's overwhelming. The one thing I would say, of course, is do be careful, because what we've had this last week is an awful lot of people are getting text, and they're saying it's coincidental that they've had their vaccine. Well, a lot of people have had their vaccine. That is saying to them, please sign up here for your COVID passport, and they are scams. And actually, I couldn't even send it through to John Troop today at CCG. My computer just kept saying this is a virus. And I know Nick from Nikon, he's tried to send me one through today. So I've asked John to give us a campaign to tell people not to sign up to these sites, because they are a a scam and they will infect your computer, but it's a big worry. They are going out to people, and people are finding it coincidental. How do they know? Is it breach of GDPR? I've had my vaccine, so how do these people know? Well, they're just taking a chance, aren't they? Because most people have had their vaccine. So please don't complete them, because we don't believe that any of them are actually legitimate.
David. Thanks all for your feedback. Didn't mean to start a debate about this. I just went, a little line in an email would have been wonderful. But I'll try and pick the bones out of what you've all said. Thanks very much.
No, thanks for raising it. No, appreciate it. Right, so let's close the meeting at 2022.